Good morning, I'm Craig Negrelli. It's Thursday, March 13th, 2025, and these are your Unbiased Updates. A budget battle in Washington as Republicans try to push through a spending plan to keep the government running. Why it's a heavy lift in the U.S. Senate, and what happens if there is no deal. Also, mission scrubbed. The attempt to bring two stranded American astronauts home from the International Space Station takes a disappointing turn. When they might try again to launch from the Kennedy Space Center.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world, these are today's Unbiased Updates.
In Washington, House Democrats are urging their Senate counterparts to reject a Republican bill that would keep the federal government from shutting down in less than 48 hours. In order to make it to President Trump's desk in time to keep some parts of the government from closing, Republicans in the Senate need to get to 60 supporters. Straight Air News reporter Lauren Taylor has details on what is now a shutdown showdown.
The Senate's Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer of New York, said on the Senate floor Wednesday the House's stopgap bill, which the House passed Tuesday and would fund the federal government for the next 6 months, does not have enough votes in the Senate.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats. Because of that, Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. Our caucus is unified on a clean April 11th CR that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
If Congress does not pass a continuing resolution by 11:59 p.m. Friday, the government will shut down. Now, this means many non-essential federal workers will either be sent home or work with no pay. Essential services will continue to operate, like national security, law enforcement, and air traffic control. Certain government services may be disrupted or halted. National parks, museums, and some federal offices may close, while others may operate with limited staffing. House Speaker Mike Johnson appeared on Fox News' Fox and Friends Wednesday morning.
Chuck Schumer has a big decision to make. Is he going to cast a vote to keep the government open, or is he going to be blamed for shutting it down? And that's clearly, very simply, what they have to decide. And I hope they do the right thing, because government shutdowns, as they all said there on video and have said 1,000 times, is harmful for everybody. We don't need that.
Speaker Johnson sent House members home after the chamber passed the stopgap bill, and they're not scheduled back on Capitol Hill until March 24th. Republicans control 53 Senate seats and would need 7 Senate Democrats to vote in favor of their continuing resolution to keep the government funded.
That was our Lauren Taylor reporting. Some Democrats have also voiced concerns that supporting the bill would set a bad precedent by effectively telling House Republicans they can write government funding measures without Democratic input. President Trump says American officials are headed to Russia to discuss a possible ceasefire deal with Ukraine. This comes as Russian President Putin made a surprise visit to Russia's Kursk region, parts of which have been under Ukraine's control since an incursion last year. While there, Putin told troops on the front line Moscow's goal is to, quote, completely liberate the region as soon as possible. Earlier this week, Ukraine agreed to a 30-day ceasefire plan proposed by the Trump administration. Now Putin must decide whether Russia will accept that deal. A Kremlin spokesperson said Wednesday that the Russian leader is, quote, carefully studying the proposal, and a phone call between Putin and Trump is possible. President Trump did not say which of his administration officials he has sent to Moscow. The head of the Environmental Protection Agency has announced plans for an aggressive rollback of environmental regulations nationwide, promising to put, quote, a dagger through the heart of climate change religion, end quote. On Wednesday, Administrator Lee Zeldin said in both a Wall Street Journal essay and an official EPA news release, he intends to reconsider more than a dozen core EPA rules and regulations, including some on vehicle emissions standards and pollution from power plants. He also pledged a review of the finding that provides the scientific basis for addressing climate change. The rollbacks must first go through a lengthy process that includes public comment, but Zeldin says if approved, the moves will eliminate trillions of dollars in regulatory costs and hidden taxes. He says the planned actions might cut the cost of living for American families and reduce prices for such essentials as buying a car, heating your home, and running a business. The Trump administration is now requiring Canadian visitors who stay in the United States longer than 30 days to register with the U.S. government. According to a new rule uploaded Wednesday to the Federal Register, people older than 14 will also need to apply for fingerprinting with authorities, tightening a law that already existed but Canadians are usually exempt from. On his first day in office, President Trump signed an executive order requiring all previously unregistered foreign nationals comply with the law. Under the order, those who do not comply will be treated as a civil and criminal enforcement priority. Disappointment this morning on the ground and in space. Last night, SpaceX had to delay a flight to the International Space Station to bring home 2 American astronauts who have been stuck there for 9 months. The spacecraft was set to take off Wednesday from Cape Canaveral, Florida, when managers scrubbed the launch after concerns or problems with the hydraulic system. The new crew of 4 will replace Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams on the ISS. The Falcon rocket liftoff might now take place on Friday from the Kennedy Space Center. Last night, the countdown clock was already ticking when engineers evaluated the hydraulics used to release one of the 2 arms, clamping the rockets to its support structure. The structure needs to tilt back before liftoff. SpaceX then canceled the liftoff with less than 1 hour to go. Astronauts from the United States, Japan, and Russia will replace Wilmore and Williams, the American test pilots who have been stuck on the space station since June, after the Boeing Starliner experienced major breakdowns and had to return to Earth empty. SpaceX has taken over the return leg. A trip that was to last a week for Wilmore and Williams has turned into a month-to-month saga on how to get them home. Finally this morning, as Selection Sunday nears, the bubble is about to burst for teams hoping to make it into the NCAA basketball championships, known as March Madness. As millions of Americans get ready to fill out their brackets, or in many cases a bunch of them, it's becoming common to not only play for fun at the office, but to also bet and try to win big. Now federal lawmakers are looking to protect fans from getting in too deep. Straight Arrow News political correspondent Ray Bogan explains how.
March Madness is less than a week away, and if it's anything like last year, Americans will place more than $2.5 billion in bets on the tournament. That's why members of Congress introduced a bill to regulate online sports betting, which they hope will save vulnerable Americans from addiction and financial turmoil.
It's important to balance public health with competing economic interests. Trust me, I understand that. But when every single solitary moment of every sporting event across the globe has become a betting opportunity in the palm of your hand, government must put its duty to protect its citizens from harm first.
The Safe Bet Act would require states offering sports betting to ensure betting operators meet federal standards in 3 different categories: marketing, affordability, and artificial intelligence. It would prohibit sportsbooks from running ads during live sporting events, prohibit operators from accepting more than 5 deposits from a customer in a 24-hour period, and require operators to conduct affordability checks, and also prohibit deposits via credit card. It prohibits the use of AI to track gambling habits and offer individualized promotions. It bans prop bets on college and amateur sports and creates a national self-exclusion list. The bill's sponsors say this is necessary because the amount of money Americans lose gambling increases every year. The sports betting industry made $14 billion in revenue in 2024.
But the reality is that $14 billion in revenue for the gambling industry is $14 billion extracted from the pockets of everyday Americans. And the even greater concern and the even greater reality is that most of that revenue is made off of the suffering of a disproportionately small number of gamblers.
Gambling is considered an addictive product. According to the Mayo Clinic, gambling can stimulate the brain's reward system much like drugs or alcohol can, leading to addiction. An estimated 7 million people in the U.S. have a gambling problem or disorder. Andrew Douglas is one of them. He started betting in college. His father described the bets as small and innocent until he spiraled and hit rock bottom.
May 27th, 2024 was a day that I attempted to end my own life. Gambling addiction had a hold of me and had taken me to the darkest hole that I could ever imagine. for years and years, constantly being targeted and no way to escape the advertising, the offers, the predatory and targeted business practices.
Although he's now in recovery, Andrew's addiction is still a source of pain for his family.
This addiction was hidden from us because it can be done on a telephone at any hour of the day and night. There's virtually no way to reach a safe time or place away from the possibilities of making a bet.
The lawmakers say they don't want to end sports betting. They're accusing the sports betting industry of purposefully exploiting addiction and driving people further into gambling abuse disorder.
It's a science. The algorithms, the artificial intelligence are all tools to drive pitches and promotions at the losers, the most vulnerable, the people who are most susceptible to this addiction.
That was our Ray Bogan reporting. March Madness is an exciting time of year. I like to root for the underdogs during the early rounds, but in the Final Four, give me the Goliaths, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina, UCLA, programs like that. I like to see those big, strong, powerful, legendary programs go head-to-head to see who wins it all. Just my 2 cents. Those are your unbiased updates for this Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.